was completely different. Then he changed it to this one, but left the Apollo 11 image in, where we told him, like, listen, this is outlandish. We told him it's outlandish. We contacted Ed Hangeveld. Yeah, he told us our Zelda is not from Apollo 11. And do you know what he wrote back? The antenna is from Apollo 11. So,
Adrian, why is that so important to you?
it is important because it shows that the man is not listening to reason.
Well, you know, it's maybe, as I said, now this is the only thing, and I will give you credit for this, this is the only thing that I would see that is still any kind of a mistake or omission on the part of ALSJ regarding an image and its description of any significance. Now, at this point, you don't know, and neither do I, whether Eric Jones has completely ignored you or whether he has just forgotten about it. And I think really you need to have gone to Plaid, get in touch with him, and ask him if he will make those corrections, or authorize Gone to Plaid to make them, or whoever else, you know, is Ken Glover, whoever else is an editor at ALSJ.
Yeah,
okay.
I understand. But what you're saying, or what we're debating here, is why we asked that Eric Jones should step down, yeah, and give the new generation a chance to do the correction. This is
well, I'm going to say this too. Given all of the things that he apparently, or someone apparently has done in response to your many trivial complaints, in giving you good explanations, in giving you credits, in changing the description concerning the crosshairs picture, after all of that, over a period of months, if there's one thing still not being handled to your satisfaction, as if anybody else would care, that is not grounds for you to call for his resignation. That just is totally unreasonable.
We have already like 3-4 things what happened within a few weeks. If you make these mistakes in a few weeks, you could start like asking yourself what is going on. All right, but we will go to the next image if you don't mind.
Just to kind of remind you guys, we're getting close to that 1 hour mark we talked about. So
well, we can keep going until he feels he's covered all the things he wants to.
Okay, I know you're. You said an hour. I want to make sure we.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, Adrian, please continue.
Okay, so that brings us to basically image. You also used it in one of your videos, one of the 3 videos in the reaction, and that's again like Photoshop material, we call it. Well, obvious, here you see the rock, there's not the rock, that part is that part. So they basically took like different images, and the caption doesn't say anything about it. This is just an artistic presentation, because that's what it is. It's nothing to do with science. It's just a pleasant image to look at. And that's okay, but just say it. Just say it's a pleasant image to look at. That's why it's made. But that's never stated.
This is a different situation. I know which one you're talking about. For my listeners, I'm not getting my live stream to put out anymore. I'm posting a picture right now of what you're talking about. My video went into some pretty decent detail on why there are differences between these pans, and you do understand. Let me clarify this first with you. Do you believe that the existence of pans themselves, composites showing these sequential pictures joined together by photo editing, do you believe that is somehow misrepresentative?
No.
Okay, good. I'm glad we established that. Now, your question is with how they were joined then. And that's just a matter of choice between one editor and another as to what part of sequence photo D he's going to trim to join with the overlapping part of sequence photo E. This is a case where there were two different people making the pan, and one made those cut lines in one place was on the left of the rock, and one made the cut line on the right of the rock. So the rock is not going to show up in one of those images. Now, do you know why there wouldn't be an overlap that would show the same foreground? I mean, the foreground is all different too if you look at it. You look at my video, you can see very clearly how they did this. Do you understand why the foregrounds don't match well?
The question is, why is it not put in the caption? Just put that in the caption. Exactly what you say in your video or what you say now, put that in the caption. Because you can also imagine that a schooler, would go there, let's say 10 years old, goes to the Apollo Lunar Survey Journal, finds this image, reads the caption, and says like, this is a real Apollo image. It's not, it's an artistic presentation. So
it's
he
a
goes
composite.
No,
it's a composite of 12 photographs. These are all pan sequences that have been joined together, and a person, doesn't have to be a child, an adult could look at these and say, gee, I wonder why these look different here. And then what they should do is go and ask somebody, go and watch a video like mine, which would explain why they look different. The descriptions that you're talking about don't need to be any more detailed than to say Ed Harlan, or whatever his name was, made this composite from frames 5905 to 5916, and that's really all they need to do. There's nothing else needed.
I want to correct you, because when a schooler or an adult, indeed, doesn't matter that much, but I would not advise them to go to your videos. I would advise them to write the Apollo Lunar Survey Journal and to ask them.
Well, at least my videos give an answer instead of asking questions all the time and assuming that there's something faked. Now I want you to tell me what you think is photoshopped and give implications of that. Why do you make that claim?
May I interrupt? Because you use the word faked. We never use the word faked.
You said Photoshop.
Yeah, Photoshop, but it's not faked.
Yeah, that's what you're trying to imply. And you're including them in your criticisms of LSJ because you have said that dozens to hundreds of photoshopped images exist in ALSJ. And you use this indictment of them, and I want to know why.
Can you take this word back, please? What we imply, we have never implied that.
Yes, you have. You've done it deliberately, and everybody knows it.
Okay, then Adrian, just to quickly call out a pause and say, if you don't believe faked is the right word, I'd like you to use the correct word, and if you can, then I will officially call that rescinded.
All right, it is just an artistic presentation.
He uses the word photoshopped, and in this case, it's not just an artistic representation. It does have its artistic value because it has to involve editing and joining things together. You could also complain about stereo pairs. Stereo pairs were taken two at a time so that they could be joined together and you get a 3D view of the environment. This is not what a reasonable person would call Photoshop.
But Joe first has to answer. You just overruled Joe. He was like listening to what I was saying.
Oh, I'm giving Adrian, you're getting the floor for a minute. And I just want to hear you try to find another word besides fate, and then we will, of course, do what you asked. But if you can't, then I'm going to let it stand.
Well, he lets you use Photoshop, Joe. That's the word he used, and I object to it.
And I'm giving Adrian a chance to set his record straight, and your minute starts now.
If he objects to the word Photoshop, that's the word Ed Hangeveld used to us in his email contact. So it's not a word we made up. He said it, and we just used that word because he said it's Photoshop.
So besides the word Photoshop and fake, what would you use as a substitute?
Yes, for this is an artistic presentation of, if you believe that it's all real, of real images. But it's photoshopped or whatever you want to call it. You can give it another word. I don't care. But that's what Ed Hangeveld used. Because also some lines are like nicely, smoothly made. To make it like just a nice presentation. Exactly what Ed Hangeveld told to us. He said, like, if I had ever known that people would use it for this, I would have never made this image. And I can understand it because
Well, you're not using your minute to do what I asked, so I can't really expect Brant to withdraw the word fake at this time.
Well, I won't use the word faked anymore, Joe. That's okay. But I do need to point out that what Adrian is talking about here is the sun that was in the previous image of Ed Hengeveld's photo portrait of the LEM. That was admittedly an artistic picture. It was not intended to be historically accurate, and it was never ever presented as a mission photograph. This we're talking about now. These are the pans that were made. We've moved on to another subject. We're talking about pans now that were made using the actual images and joining them, not removing anything, not adding anything. The only what I would call photoshopped thing in all of this was the sun that Ed Hengeveld put into that portrait of the LEM, where it should be in order to fill out a rectangular frame. There is no fakery, which is what photoshopping implies, in any of these pans.
What do you mean? If you had read what Ed Hengeveld had said, because there was not only the sun, but also at the bottom part of that image is a part what never can exist, is impossible, because the feet of Buzz Aldrin will be in the way. He says, like, I took like little bits from the missions and just like a little puzzle, I puzzled it in. And this is also done here, because you see normally you would see like the nice frames, you know, if you just had not used the frames and you see clearly the frames, then it's okay, but they made like a little bit smoother, a little bit nicer. It's an artistic presentation, nothing more than that.
I missed you. You guys cut out. I lost you for about 30 seconds there, but you pretty much, I picked you back up right about where I expected you to be. These people will feather and edge, and in fact, many of these are not very well feathered edges. They're just straight cuts. And in cases where there is actual foreground missing, they may insert something, or they may leave a blank space like one of these pans does. And you know, if you've got a shadow, for example, from Neil Armstrong, who's standing there, and he has been cut out of the picture by joining those two frames because he's blocking part of the view, that shadow's going across the ground. You know, you don't want it just extending all the way across. If going from one picture to the next, they try to fade it out instead of having a black line down through it. But what this is a joining of actual mission photographs, and certain decisions had to be made in that. Like, for example, one of them shows part of Neil's legs sticking up from the ground. Now, I can see a person asking, how come there's a leg sticking up from the ground here? Well, there's an answer to that. And the answer is perfectly satisfactory to me.
Photoshop.
But I believe the word Photoshop implies an attempt to deceive, and I believe that is why you use that word. And
no, you assuming.
Yes, I am. I am assuming that's why you're using that word, because you've done that same sort of thing before with words playing word games, Adrian. But
well, use the word Photoshop. So is he also like?
Was it Photoshop? Did they use Photoshop?
Yes.
Did they use Photoshop, or did the description in the ALSJ tell you what programs they used in order to make those images? Because they didn't use Photoshop.
Well, maybe we just found another mistake then in the Apollo Lunar Surface journals. Because
no, Ed Hengeveld photoshopped the sun in, meaning he created it for the image. These are not created. These are edited and joined in a way that tries to give the best, most accurate representation of the picture. And the reason there are 4 of these, do you know why there are so many and why they join so poorly?
I guess you're going to tell me.
Yes, it's because a portion of the foreground is completely missing. In my video, you may have seen where I said that Buzz had to have stepped 3 or 4 feet to his right to get that last shot. That means that the closer foreground is completely gone. It's not in any of the pictures. And so they join these in a way to try to make it, so that joints will not flow smoothly from one to the next, because they were not at those original positions. That's why they look bad in some cases. Why the rock appears in one and not in another. Why the leg appears in one and not in another. Is because there's missing foreground in that picture. And so where they join them, it's not going to join smoothly.
So you exactly described the point that the Apollo Lunar Survey journals are making this doubt. This is why people start to doubt. Because it doesn't make sense, and when it's explained in a caption, what's happened...
people start to doubt 40 years, like Bill Rene and other conspiracy theorists, and people like yourself who try to keep this alive because you think you're actually going to end up proving something with it.
Yes, we're going to prove that the Apollo Lunar Survey journals or the NASA archives need to be corrected to the correct historical values, and that's how you take doubt away. But by you defending what's not defendable, that makes only more people doubt.
What you are doing is requiring them to make certain editorial decisions about how they are going to describe these things. And even though you may not be happy with what you see as incompleteness in those descriptions, I don't think anybody else would be concerned about it unless they are just simply trying to sell themselves as some kind of savior information here. It's there's no historical perversion or corruption here, and it's utterly unreasonable to accuse them of doing that. These pans are as legitimate and as decently and as well made as could possibly be expected, and they show what was actually there. Nothing was added, and sometimes they had to be joined in bad places in order to get a complete continuous image.
Yes.
Hey gentlemen, I'm sorry to keep butting in, but I think I'd like to progress to closing remarks for this time, as I do have some things that are coming up.
All right.
Okay.
I apologize.
No, that's okay. I want to go to one more point then to quickly, and that's the last bit actually I wanted to ask, because during the first debate on February 2012 last year, Brent told that he agreed that the captions or that the images should be linked to the original images as they were altered or whatever you want to call it, if they were, like how he calls it, touched up. We want to ask what answer he got.
Oh yes, you said you were going to ask me about that. I told you then that had to do with one picture that you found where dots, debris or whatever, were eliminated from the picture, and it was not a mission photograph. It was in some other list of pictures for publication somewhere. Has nothing to do with the actual historical record. It's just a touched up, let's say, a cleaned up picture, get rid of debris. I asked them about that, and I simply suggested that maybe they should put a description in there saying that in this picture certain things have been removed. The debris, the junk that was floating around, was removed because the primary purpose of the picture was to show the Earth, and that was a distraction. They certainly fooled you. A number of other people thought they were stars, but they're not. That was the communication that I had. There wasn't any need for any further communication on that.
But you said like that you agreed with that, and that should be announced in the caption and a link to the basically the original raw scan. So how did they react? Were they enthusiastic?
I can't remember, and I really don't care. If they make more detailed descriptions of those, then fine. Or they may just assume, look, people come here looking for a nice picture of the Earth from space. They couldn't care less that the original photograph shows debris in it.
All right.
And so the purpose of the location is found is to take into consideration.
You're breaking up again.
The context of the picture and the intent are what matter. And you just can't anything else into the intent there, okay? There was really nothing in that conversation that needs to be discussed here. Besides, it's off topic for this debate because it had nothing to do with the LSJ.
No, it It has to do with the captions, the correct captions, what we just talked about.
I believe as a picture of Earth from Apollo 15 or something like that, and that's what it was. So what? It was for the public. It does not need to say that it's been that debris has been removed from the picture. That's okay if it does. If it doesn't, so what? It's only Don Quixotes of the world who are nitpicking and trying to find something wrong because they have some agenda are going to complain about something like that. Now, if they, and I don't care if they did or not.
Can you take that back that we have an agenda? What you imply of like to prove something wrong or bad, we are correcting the historical archives, and if that is not important, we advise you not to make videos about us anymore, where you just basically take everything out of context and do a very bad job for NASA and the Apollo.
Well, you want my closing remarks, and then I want Adrian to be able to speak afterward and comment on those, because I want him to have the last word so that he can't complain that I got any parting shots in on him.
Okay. Then here you go, Brant. You want to say 3 or 4 minutes?
So, it's not off the top of my head. I went to some effort to do it. Okay. In these debates, I hope it has become abundantly clear that the complaints raised by AWE130 against the ALSJ in general, and Eric Jones in particular, are trivial and or groundless, and all of them have been explained to the satisfaction of any rational person. Yet, AWE130 dogged to find some evidence, any evidence, which will validate his erroneous assumption that either Apollo missions were faked or that the historical record has been corrupted. As one commenter on the Mail Online Apollo hoax thread stated, when you start out wrong, you will always come to the wrong conclusions. This describes exactly what AWE130 has been doing, and despite the number of times his claims have been refuted and his accusatory questions answered, he keeps coming back with the same arguments and looking for new ones in the obsessive belief that sooner or later he'll strike the killer blow against Apollo. The irony of the statement about starting out wrong is that AWE130 is the one who made it. Listen to yourself, Adrian. For 3 years, AWE130 has continually spammed his statement that he doubts the Apollo landings were real, but vehemently denies that he believes Apollo was faked. One who can repeatedly make such contradictions cannot be considered credible. Adrian, I'll tell you what's deceptive and unethical. Your approach of, we're just asking questions, we're listening to both sides, we just evidence, all of which are deliberate misrepresentations of your true beliefs and motivation. These are tactics for deceiving people into believing you are objective. Just part of a collective called AWE130. Is used like a Romulan cloaking device to avoid getting pinned down by an opponent. 3, your chronic use of word games, like Photoshopped, in a premeditated trick, agreeing with you. Your true character is revealed by what you do, not by how you describe yourself. On the Mail Online forum for almost a year now, and here in these debates, AWE130 has one shred of evidence that Apollo was faked or that the editors have engaged in misconduct. I feel a great sense of pride in involvement in these debates. It's a little bit like wrestling a 6-year-old. Where is the satisfaction of refuting such an opponent? There are only 2 reasons I did this. First, as you insisted.
You're cutting in and out a lot, Brant.
Yeah, it's not us. It's this side.
First, you insisted on it, and second, because
you're cutting in and out a lot, Brant.
Oh, I don't understand. Can you hear me now at all?
Yeah, it's just you'll suddenly get very whispery, like quiet, and then suddenly loud.
It's done then. There are only 2 reasons I did this. First, because you insisted on it, and second, of your public insult of Eric Jones. Dr. Jones has contributed a marvelous and reliable resource to the internet, and he, like reality, and that concludes this. I will not debate these matters again.
I think I heard you just say that you are done.
I am done.
Okay, well, it was good to hear from you. Adrian, I give you the floor for your closing remark.
Yeah, thanks very much, Joe, first for moderating again. Also, Brent, thank you for taking time to defend your thoughts. Well, where to start? As you can hear, for what we could hear about it, is basically what Brent did was only attacking AWE130. There were no facts or things that that would help the Apollo Lunar Survey journals or NASA to take the doubt away from people. He just only attacks people. We're not feeling that way, and we hardly will do that. But we want to make that statement. That we think that the Apollo moon landings are fake, or that we try to prove it is fake, there's probably his own fear that it maybe could be fake, or that certain things are not correct. Fear does sometimes weird things, and you start to imagine a lot of things, and that's what you see a lot what Brent does. Okay, back to the facts. What we had. Why should Eric Jones step down? We just scroll up if for our listeners. Then here we have this image, no crosshairs, and is cropped, so this bottom part here that is taken away, and they have not re-uploaded the correct picture. Also, they did not have the correct historical procedures. This is ethical wrong and historical wrong. So the NASA documentation still says this image should have crosshairs, but Eric Jones just overruled that. That's a big no-no in the world of historians. Then we come to this one. This one is still open for debate partly. Eric Jones, after we discovered this one, we also discovered this, and there's a ring, and that is a ring. Well, this is not a ring, but it seems more like a mini crater or something, but that's still open for debate what it is. Everybody's welcome if you support the Apollo moon landings or not. Doesn't matter. Just speak your mind about it. What we see here, is this a mini crater or not? Or something else, maybe you have a better thought. LPD story. Basically nothing is there coming to a conclusion. People within the Apollo Lunar Survey journals, the good ones, because there's a lot of people within the Apollo Lunar Survey journals, are still working on that. We're also still working on it, and we share our information with them. Turning flag. Well, that's obvious story, historical, moral, and ethical, completely incorrect. Eric Jones basically guides us to the wrong part, and then makes up a second part in the archive just out of the blue to explain it without any investigation. This was done in a few weeks, basically. It almost set us. We were almost feeling that it was a kind of panic that they had to come up with an answer instead of working together. Maybe fear that we would find more things to correct the Apollo Lunar Survey journal. What in itself is not a problem when a historical archive is wrong. At Hengeveld image, this is ethical, completely wrong. This antenna here on the top is not from Apollo 11 but from Apollo 17. As far as we're concerned now, still today, this is not changed in the Apollo journal. As well, the complete caption was changed in October or November. So, but for some reason, Eric Jones had the need to tell that this was from Apollo 11, and in the email contact we had with him, he made that very clear. I think he has to eat crow now on this one. Ethical, completely wrong. Then we have here, yes, dozens, maybe hundreds of them. These images, they are composed out of different images. They all like photoshopped, and if you want to call it different, that's also okay with me. But these are all artistic presentations, and that's okay. That's no problem. You can enjoy it, watch it, but put it in the caption. Let people know what it is. An historical archive is not a propaganda archive for the Apollo moon landings. And these images made it more into like basically a propaganda archive. These images are historical wrong, moral wrong, and ethical wrong. That is basically what we have shown him. We have much more. We think that Eric Jones should step down and give the new generation a chance to correct it. Yeah. At this point, I think he can still, with honor, step down and say like, I did a good job. But if the man like keeps doing this, then I think it gets only worse and worse, because he seems not to be reasonable and listening to people who tell him when something is wrong, and even when they give him all the information, he seems more to get angry, and that's a kind of anger we also sometimes see in Astrobrant2. We'd like to thank everybody who today, because we had a lot of problems to get everything running, from India to the US, UK and the Netherlands, who were helping us to get this broadcast happening, because our systems were were heavily attacked again. Also, of course, a coincidence, but we'd like to thank everybody who was able to help us in that. Further, I'd like to thank all the listeners. Be aware that after this there's open lines, AWE130.debate2012, that is on Skype, and you can find us on Skype also under the Whisper. AWE130.debate2012. Feel free to call in. We will not ridicule you, bully or insult you. We will just have a nice conversation with you, and maybe we can learn from each other and start to think in a new way. This is what we want to say, and we hope that the Apollo Lunar Surface Journal will listen to us, and that we start to make a correct archive.
Alright, well, I think I'm going to throw in my last statement, and we're done. I want to thank you, Adrian and Brent, for being a part of this debate. Thank you for allowing me to, of course, be a part. Shame we had technical difficulties. We did lose a little bit of near the end there, and Brent's closing comments may need to be re-recorded due to his end cutting in and out. Just a thought to you, Adrian. As far as I'm aware, you can acquire all of the original NASA scans, and there really is nothing, as I'm aware, to prevent AWE from hosting their own archive of these photos in whatever manner you see fit. I don't believe everyone's in a total agreement that that's necessary, but the fact is nothing stops you that I'm aware of. So that would be my suggestion at this point.
Joe, are you still? Can you still hear me?
I can hear you now, Brent.
Along those lines, I would also recommend the Project Apollo Archives, which was assembled by Kip Teague, which has nothing but original mission photographs in it, and no Assemble Panoramas section for people like Adrian to get uptight about.
Is that the University of Arizona?
So, yeah,
No.
Like I was saying, you know, there's that one that Brent has told you about, or you can host your own. I mean, it's just a matter, are you willing to put the money forward and do it? Because NASA gave the photos up for public for the ones or the journal you're complaining about, so just do one of your own. Sounds like a plan to me, at least. I'm not attacking you here, I'm just giving you an idea. Other than that, I think we kind of came to a draw. There really isn't anything that was said that needed to be said, but we said it and we're grateful. And again, I'm glad to have been part. And that's all I can think of.
Alright, thank you, Joe.
Alright, goodbye.
Later.
Alright, bye, Brent. So, speak to you next time, and also to you, Joe. Thank you very much for your time.
Alright, take care.